Welcome to Stand Taller. I'm your host, author of the book Stand Taller. My name is Alex MacDonald, and this podcast here is designed to help you learn how to pivot your beliefs so that you can stand taller. If you want to conquer your negative beliefs and start living a life of possibility and victory, then you need to follow the steps this book and this podcast share. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're gonna have a great time. Hello and welcome to the Stand Taller podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Now, what's the difference between jam and jelly? I've never been caught in a traffic jelly. What sounds like a sneeze and is made out of leather? A shoe! A shoe. Now, Finland has decided that they're going to keep their borders closed, which means no one can cross the finish line. We're so glad you're here. We're intentionally telling these very bad jokes just to loosen up, just to lighten the mood, get you on the right foot, and to lower your defense barriers. We're here to have fun, make money, and make a difference. And this is definitely a way to have fun. I'm so glad you're here. So every episode, we're going to have these really bad jokes followed by this story. The main character of our story says, by every usual standard, I was the biggest failure I knew. Those are the words of author J.K. Rowling, the author whose book series has been translated into 73 languages, sold millions of copies, and accrued over $20 billion through movie adaptations and sponsorships. So why does she admit to being such a failure? Creating her book series wasn't as easy as scribbling down notes on a few dinner napkins. It wasn't a 1, 2, or even 3-step process. It would take years of perseverance to become the success she is today. Soon after conceiving the idea for Harry Potter, Rowling began writing, but was immediately pulled away from her work by the devastating death of her mother. Rowling ceased working on the book and sank into a deep, grieving depression, getting little to nothing accomplished in that time. In the hopes of digging herself out of grievance, she took a job teaching English in Portugal for a year. Her goal in venturing abroad was to get away from her troubles and, more importantly, use her time off to continue working on her book. She set the goal of having the first Harry Potter book done by the time she returned from Portugal. But things did not go as planned. Not only did she fail to make progress on her first book, but after falling in and then out of love, she ended up with a failed marriage and a baby daughter she now had to raise alone. She came back to nothing. She had no job, no finished product, and now she had 2 mouths to feed. She felt like she had hit rock bottom as she struggled with depression, raising a child on her own, and living off meager unemployment benefits. She resumed work on her book in cafes while her daughter was asleep. Despite numerous setbacks, she found solace in doing what she loved, writing. In fact, she found that the little she had was enough to be moderately happy. She had ended up in exactly the position she had feared most and found out that it wasn't that bad. There wasn't anything left to be afraid of, and her work showcased that mindset. When Rowling finally finished the first 3 chapters, she sent the manuscript off to a publisher. They quickly passed on the project. She sent it to another publisher. Again, the answer was no. Her mailbox filled up with rejection letters, but she didn't let it stop her. Failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. This is what J.K. Rowling said at the time, and she had sent her manuscript to 12 different publishers and got rejected by every single one of them. She began losing confidence in her book, but she kept plugging away. Finally, the editor at Bloomsbury Publishing Company sat down to read the manuscript, and so did his 8-year-old daughter. The little girl loved the opening chapters and begged to read the whole thing. This made the publisher agree to publish Rowling's novel, but Rowling was left with a warning that she should get a day job because she wouldn't make any money writing children's books. Once Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was published, though, she proved everyone wrong. She went from being a jobless single mother living off unemployment benefits to one of the best selling authors of all time. But it didn't happen overnight. She faced rejection and was constantly striving for success. She worked hard at her craft before anyone noticed her. That practice, along with strengthening herself against rejection, was what made her work unforgettable. Looking back, the Harry Potter series has earned over $400 million in book sales, and the last movie alone earned $476 million in ticket sales on opening weekend. She was the first female to become a billionaire author, something that most authors will never achieve. So if you have a dream or you have a passion and you keep getting rejected or running into failure, don't let that stop you. If you're going through a tough time in your life, but working on something you really believe in, then don't give up. Please never give up. If you do, you'll never know what could have been. Who knows? You might end up breaking records. All right, back to the book. Last week, we were diving into writing down those positive and empowering beliefs. So I want you to pull out your list and start thinking through about some of those positive and empowering beliefs. But now I'm going to share 2 ways to find them. And so you'll be able to add to this list. If you're still having a tough time zeroing in on the positive or empowering beliefs that you may have, then just focus on these 2 approaches. First is the most obvious. You're already aware of it. They might not be top of mind, like they might not register very powerfully, but you know that they are real. You know that you believe in these things. They are positive or empowering beliefs that you are aware of. Now, if that doesn't work, or if you feel like that is not applicable to you, try the next step. I've already brushed over this, but let me repeat it again. Find areas of your life you're happy with and trace them to your beliefs. For example, if you have a job, that can be traced to your belief. You believe you're responsible to a certain degree. You believe that you need to show up at that job and you need to show up on time. The fact that you have a job and haven't been fired yet means there are positive beliefs upholding that job. Maybe it supports your family. Maybe it gives you a feeling of accomplishment. Just find those beliefs. Become fully aware of these positive beliefs, regardless of whether you're aware of them or if you have to do some mental legwork. Have you spotted them? Good. Now highlight them. Now that you're fully aware of your positive beliefs, regardless of how few they may be, or regardless of how weak they may be, or how many you have, I need you to focus on them. Highlight them in your mind. Start picking them apart. What do you believe that causes you to feel capable, empowered, or confident? Again, let's take the case of employment. The fact that you have a job can be traced to a positive belief. You believe that you are capable of doing that job. You believe that you have what it takes to go through the duties related to that job. These are good enough. You don't necessarily have to be some sort of dramatic, gigantic, glaring positive belief. As long as they're real, you can use them. If you're reading this book, then you have eyes that can see. If you're hearing this audio podcast, then you have ears that can hear. If you have fingers that are touching the pages, you sense that and you have the ability to feel. These are all amazing things that you can think about and then think about how you can use those. I have ears that can hear good music and I can share that music with others. I have eyes that can see beauty and I can appreciate that beauty and express encouragement. I have fingers that can touch and I can enjoy the texture of a book or a leather belt. And because I have that ability to feel, I can create. And when I create, I can earn an income. You can lead yourself down positive rabbit trails. So pick these apart. What do you believe that causes you to feel capable? What do you assume about yourself that gives you the strength to show up to your work day after day or take care of somebody in relationships day after day? When you look at yourself in the mirror, you obviously don't recoil in disgust. At least I hope you don't. It's not that you look at yourself in the mirror and you start throwing up. There is some sort of belief there. Find that flicker of positivity. Be honest with yourself and look for the things that you are confident about. Now, the next step is going to take a little work, admittedly, but it needs to be done. I need you to focus on these beliefs and start feeling good about them. Seriously, start feeling good about the fact that you believe that you should show up at work on time. Start feeling good about the fact that you believe in yourself enough to do a good job. At least it's decent enough not to get fired, right? So feel good about these. Again, we're not talking about scale. We're not talking about something overly dramatic or huge. As long as they're real and they're positive, feel good about them. If you paid your rent on time every month this year, then say, man, I pay my rent on time every time, all the time. I'm a dependable person. As long as they're real and they're positive, feel good about them. Become fully aware of these beliefs about yourself. And then I want you to emphasize your positive beliefs. Now you've found the positive beliefs in your life and you have mentally highlighted them so their details are clear. You need to take one final step. The next step is to emphasize them, make them top of mind. In fact, make it a point to say things about them. For example, when you show up to work, you say to yourself, I do a great job. I know what I'm doing. I'm a skilled and experienced person. I am worthy. When you are thinking about your beliefs about your relationships, tell yourself, I am worth loving, I am worth respecting, and I give people respect. I make people feel good, and they make me feel good. Whatever the situation may be, focus on the belief and the positivity it contains and turn them into affirmations. The great thing about affirmations is that you verbalize things that you are thinking. This enables you to keep them top of mind and emotionally and mentally focus on them. When you emotionally tune into these realities, you're able to tap into the power of that belief. There's less mental and emotional pollution between the filter of the belief that you choose and the stimuli of your outside world. This leads to a clearer cause and effect correction between what you perceive, what you choose to believe, and how you feel and ultimately your actions. By being as clear as possible about the connection between how you filter reality and how you actually live your life, you could start choosing to live the life of a victor instead of a victim or a bystander. Let me be clear. There are two types of people in this world. There are those who make things happen regardless of what other people say and regardless of what others are feeling about them. And there are those who constantly ask themselves and everyone else who care to listen, what happened with my life? I think I know which person you'd rather be. I had to make that tough choice a few years ago, and I encourage you to take a moment and make the same choice. I hope your choice is to stand taller. All right, we're closing this episode with some music like always. This music that I chose is by one of my favorite MCs, KRS-One, and this song's called Step Into a World, Rapture's the Light. Now, we talked about finding those positive, empowering beliefs so you can rap along to this and then you can groove along to the nice melody. This is with the Culture Shift Challenge, so visit cultureshiftchallenge.com and enjoy lots and lots of great music, connect with artists, and enjoy this song. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you at the top, so we'll see you